So I wanted to really say, this is your history too. Come into it. It's full of surus, but it's full of celebration too. Because if you flip catastrophe, you find a kind of urgent vitality. You find a sort of determination to drink life to the lees at the bottom, an enormous sense of kind of creative adaptiveness necessary for a suitcase-ready religion, suitcase-ready people. So this is, forgive me for a teeny-weeny bit of crowing here, because we had nearly 4 million people watch the first episode. We had until the series ran into the arch enemy, Downton Abbey. Broadcast at the same time. You had the choice of Downton Abbey, or famously, as I'm called now, Downton Rabbi, actually, which is... many of them chose Abbey rather than Rabbi. And we only have 250,000 Jews in Britain, so the vast majority of those looking at it were not Jews. The same thing is true when I went out onto the road with the book in Britain. Really large crowds, kind crowds, generous crowds, in places where there were virtually no Jews at all. But interestingly, people ask me a lot on the road whether or not, there was a lot of hostility to what I was saying, particularly this shocking sentence I utter in program number 3, where I simply say, apropos of Theodor Herzl, Die Judenstaat, I say, I am a Zionist. And one journalist commented in a British newspaper and said it was so, they all celebrated it, but I wanted to recover the word. I wanted to stop it being so bloody furtive. So I said, I am a Zionist. And I then followed up by saying, well, in Vienna in 1897, obviously you would be a Zionist. Who would not be a Zionist? But the British journalist said it was rather like Simon Schama saying, I am a paedophile, or something like that. It's an unfortunate analogy, I thought, but it had that degree of sort of shock attached to it. And people said, well, were people sort of hostile to your forthrightness over that? And I'm not an uncritical Zionist, as you probably already know. And it was interesting in those audiences. Palestinians had their issues, they wanted to write a reply and so on, but they were, agreed to differ about some things, and I agreed with them about other things. But the As-Jews were an issue, and there may be some of you here tonight, it's possible. The As-Jews, someone stands up and asks a question, and the first sentence is, as a Jew, and they're going to attack Israel at that point, actually. And they always say, as a Jew, I have to say that Israel is a violation of the principles of Judaism. So the As-Jews are around quite a lot, and they cause trouble for me. But I'm a big boy, I'm old and ugly, and I don't care. I can look after myself. So this sense, really, that the intensity of Jewish history, the integrity of Jewish history, is a profound thing in our shared culture. And it's a debate that goes on in Israel and in the Galut, still, in the diaspora, about whether or not Jewish identity, the religion, the culture, our sense of a common history, our bond of a common memory, belonging to our shared story, everything we celebrate in at Seder night and at Passover, is served best by keeping ourselves separate, because who's looked after us when we're in trouble? Only us. That's the hardcore case that the Likud makes, or whether or not our Jewishness is also in a way enriched by and well served by the kind of creative feedback we have had historically all through Jewish history, by embedding ourselves in other cultures while not being naive about, the limits to pluralism when things get tough.